This presentation will give a small demonstration of Group 8's engineering design project. Musicians and artists of all skill levels need to manage their music and set lists, and the burden of music management takes away precious time musicians can be using to spend practicing their craft. Sometimes, musicians are in groups or ensembles, or may even temporarily pair up with another musician to collaborate. This leads to an even more time-consuming task of having to maintain constant communication with others. With managing music and collaboration being important aspects of what a musician does, it leads us to the development of an application catered with musicians in mind that makes it easier for artists to perform such tasks, freeing up time to allocate elsewhere. So the objective of our project is to create a music catalog management application that allows musicians to organize their music, maintain annotations and notes, keep track of gigs, and collaborate with other musicians. The approach we will be taking to meet our objectives is to implement convenient catalog management that gives users full control over their material through detailed customization. The application is being developed with musicians of various genres and skill levels in mind, so it is important to allow the users to tailor their content to their own needs. To further save their time, users can also search for songs from the data catalog while also being able to manually enter songs if the songs they practice are not as mainstream. Users will also be able to invite others to collaborate on materials of their choice, along with having the option to make a song that they've created public or private. The list of songs or setlists that users make can also be shared with others. The approach we'll be taking to develop our application will be using a two-layer architecture consisting of the presentation layer, which is the client side and front end, and application layer, which is the server side, including the database. It will be hosted on AWS, and we've adopted a modular design so our system is subdivided into various modules.
For creating a database, first we need to do is to get the Apache server that interprets PHP and have MySQL database installed. As far as managing server and database, we will use phpMyAdmin, which is a web-based tool. While installing SM, it will come with a tool of phpMyAdmin where we can log into the program through the browser so that we can manage our database from there. So based on the project proposal and the UI design, we already have an initial database design and their relationship. First, the table of general song lists is used for storing the basic song information, where it's published from the application so that each user can see it and add it to their own library list if they want. It includes the attribute of song ID, title, album, and the artist, and the song ID is the primary key. The user info table is where we hold our user basic information such as first name, last name, and date of birth. The user library table is used when user wants to save some song in their library. Every user should have their own library in their account. The table user library is the intermediate between the table of user info and the user song list. The user song list table is connected with table of user library to help user to save some songs in their library list. Song PDF table is about while the application will allow user to upload their PDF file music sheet for each song. However, the PDF file will not be stored in the database itself but in the server. The table of song lyrics is made for user to store the lyrics of the song. The table of user playlist is similar with the user library table. It is also an intermediate between the table of user info and the playlist song. The table of playlist song is connected with the user playlist and used for storing song information. The structure of playlist song is also similar with the user song list.
The front end and back end of our application are developed using Vue and Express, respectively. Vue and Express are frameworks, both developed with Node.js. It is a relatively new technology. It just allows for the creation of server-side coding using JavaScript. Part of using these frameworks and Node.js as a whole is that we can add extra functionalities to these frameworks through npm. So an example would be like Axios. Axios is an extension for Vue, and it allows Vue to make API calls. Another one is Beautify. And Beautify within itself is a framework and it's just a UI library. We have two subsystems, the front end or back end, which we call it our client and our server. But realistically, this is more of an extra layer. Vue will work as a middleman between the browser and Express. This is mostly because Vue a server has a server, so a development server. It runs a development server, and Express runs a server as well. So when you make a request to our application, it goes to Vue. Then from Vue it goes to Express. From Express goes back to Vue, and it goes back to our browser. They communicate through RESTful APIs. It's just communication done through HTTP methods. For this quick demo, I'm just gonna show some of the code for a specific page, the song detail page. So first, in our application, so you log in, you can go to songs, and you have the option to click on any song and see its details. Example right here, Good Days by Sisa. We can see that the title is loaded, the artist is loaded, there is a YouTube link, and we have more information. We have lyrics as well right here. And how does this get passed? So we can see right here to the left, this is the code for this page to the right. Right, so up here we have all of the HTML, and some of this is part of Vue itself. Now, so how it works is when this loads, we can see right here, we're passing a 1. This one is the ID of the song, and we can see it like ID right there. If we go to by this ID, we can see we're passing ID of 3. Now, when this is loaded, this page, after we do the routing, after this is loaded, we call get details, a method. Get details, what it does is it does a get request to the back end and get some information back. Now, how does this look in the back end? It's very simple. So here is the get method in the back end. So API /song ID. A song ID is what we're passing. It has a request or response. We're simply finding a song whose ID parameter, which is number, is matches, and we're just passing that specific song information. Now, this is data that is hard-coded in the backend, and eventually will be changed to data queries, but this is how it looks like each song. So you see we have user ID, number, the name. Right here we're loading this Tom York song. So this is number 3. This number is the song ID. We see we have the name, the artist right here. It matches on the page. We have the album right here, and the link to the YouTube, which is also a string. We also have some personalization, random information, and this will of course be changed in the future. And it all matches. So this page calls the API in the backend, and the API returns some data. Now, this is not the end of all. We see that you have multiple tabs. This is where Vue comes in with its, its own its components and layers, etc. So this song page is a component, and these tabs are child components. And we can see right here personalization tab, or even better, the details tab. Right here we're passing this data with what is called a vbind, and that's just part of view itself. What we're doing is we're getting the data back, and we're passing the um, the data, the JSON data. So because it's a JavaScript object, we're passing name as a variable, artist as a variable, album as a variable, and if we go to components, which should be right here, we can see like these are passed, and we define them as props in the details tab, which is the child of this bigger page. So right here we're looking at just this tab, this smaller tab, and we're now passing the actual variables to show on the text fields. That's just a basic example of how our subsystem works. It really just a repetition of everything. It's a series of triggers. A trigger that something triggers an API call, and the API call sends back some information, and the information is passed um, between these components, its child components or its parent components. I hope you like the video.